Ukta! Ukta! Oh! Ukta! Oi! What was once a king of the White Cliffs has now been dethroned. A fearsome predator, adapted to this unique ecosystem, is now forced to find a new territory. In the real world, however, is one of the most feared predators in all of Spain. This predator in question is known as Jeff. His name in question is in reference to the Marvel comics, specifically to Jeff the Land Shark. The difference, however, is that whereas Jeff is a straight-up shark with legs, this Jeff, specifically the Concavenator specimen that you're watching before you, is a dinosaur. Specifically, one that is under the Carcharodontosauridae faction. If you saw episode 1, you'd more than likely understand that that's the faction of dinosaurs that episode 1's protagonist belongs to. And Jeff is one of them. Specifically, Concavenator corcovatus. But this specific specimen of Concavenator must make a mad dash, lest he suffer the wrath of the tyrant Lizard King. His only hope at survival is to run fast and hope that the king of the dinosaurs does not track him down and destroy him. That is the important part of ensuring that he makes it through this territory without facing a lethal consequence. Having made it through Titan's Pass, Jeff must now endure a moat crafted by nature. This moat is made of salt water. Realistically, Jeff would not be able to swim as efficiently as you saw in this video. Neither would his territory be displaced by a Jurassic hellhound, or would he have to worry about the tyrant Lizard King. We do not have solid evidence of Concavenator being a semi-aquatic predator, but that doesn't mean that a dinosaur like Jeff couldn't swim at all. The other part of the problem, realistically speaking anyway, is that T-Rex fossils were found in America during the late Cretaceous period, while Ceratosaurus fossils were also found in America, but during the Jurassic period. And Concavenator fossils were found in Spain during the mid-Cretaceous period. But in this artificial ecosystem, the Concavenators of this artificial ecosystem have to compete with various other predators from various other time periods and places. To address the Paleoloxodon in the room, whilst it is possible for Concavenator to have some form of quills on its body, there is some thorough evidence regarding the arms of Concavenator, specifically an array of bumps on the back of the dinosaur's arms. Initially thought to have been quill knobs, essentially placement for quill-like filaments, like feathers or some type of bird-like quill. Thorough research with other Carcharodontosaurids, however, might suggest that these bumps on the back of Concavenator's arms are attachment points for musculature and ligaments. And the other thing to address is the large triangular dorsal fin on the back of this dinosaur. No one really knows the functionality of it. Of course, meme lords tend to say that it fits within the spine of another type of dinosaur, specifically Ichthyovenator's gap. But in all seriousness, no one really knows the functionality of that massive dorsal fin on the back of this Concavenator. It could be an indicator of stress and anger, it could be used as a display for mates and rivals, or it could be for thermoregulation. No one really knows. What I do know currently is that it is likely that Jeff seems to have found something. It is highly possible that he has found a new territory, one that benefits him a lot on the other side of this hill. Having climbed up the hill, Jeff has sensed nothing but disappointment and discouragement. A bigger and meaner predator already has this territory. He will have to keep looking, searching, wandering, all as a means of survival. In order to survive, he'll have to keep looking for the new territory. Even if it takes him an entire day, even if it takes him a month, even if it could take him an entire year. However, this is gratefully only one path that is closed. And just because one path is closed does not mean that all the paths are closed. Jeff just needs to find a new path, a new way, a new territory, and nature does not forgive what gives up. Throughout his journey, Jeff has been increasingly hungry, and yet he sees an opportunity for food, a baby Dinosaurus. Despite this opportunity, however, he is not going to take the risk. He has better things to do than to try and find food for right now. In this case, navigating a means of getting out the forest, mostly because he does not know when an alpha critter might strike him, and thus he has to find a way out. The rocks he sees seem to provide a promising vantage point. He could use those to simply find a way out the forest, and the sooner he's out the forest, the better. Jeff's journey has made him rather weary. These rocks, however, seem to provide a decent resting spot, for now, and once he's done resting, he will continue his journey to find a new territory. A moment later, Jeff has finally found a way out the forest. But his eyes see a bit of a drop between him and open spaces. This, in turn, has made him curious. His curiosity has been rewarded with the majestic sight of a river filled with the ultimate drink. It's the drink that all life relies on in order to live. It is the drink that much of life can go through as a means of locomotion. It is the drink that is likely the cradle of all life on Earth. Water. And Jeff can use this to his advantage. To reiterate, it is highly unlikely that the real animal was semi-aquatic, like what you see in the video. But the Concavenators on Gondwas had to adapt as a means of ensuring that they would be able to survive in this ecosystem. There's already plenty of fast pursuit predators on this ecosystem. There's already plenty of hard-hitting forest dwellers in this ecosystem. But there are no ambush predators that prefer to sneak up from the river and try to hunt crocodiles, aside from Sarcosuchus. This is a case known as convergent evolution. The jaguar is capable of hunting caiman, even underwater. The Concavenators that have indulged in swimming as a means of survival have survived and made it to adulthood, especially the ones that dwell in the rivers as a means of hunting, but that doesn't mean that they aren't adaptable by any means. As Jeff gets further up the river, his instincts tell him that something big, dangerous, smelly is on the other side of the waterfall. But his need to find a new territory is far stronger than his need to survive. Thankfully, he can just pass through and hope for the best. And from what he understands of the animal in question, it usually prefers to just swim across the water's surface. Jeff, meanwhile, can simply swim underneath the water's surface to avoid the creature. Primarily because, although Jeff is hungry, he has no intent for conflict with something as big and mean as the beast far more foul than onions. On meeting a dead end, Jeff has plenty of reason to feel fear, as he has less time to waste before the beast far more foul than onions catches on to the intruder in his oasis. He'll have to move fast and find cover very quickly. The good thing is, however, is that Jeff is not that far away from cover, nor that far away from getting out of the beast's territory. His coloration will help him camouflage amongst the cover. With that in mind, Jeff can be able to rest for a bit, but he doesn't know how long he can afford to rest. After taking a short rest, Jeff is well rested and ready to get out of here as quickly as possible. Doesn't know how much time he has left before the beast recognizes him in his territory. And thus, it's his justified reasoning to hustle as fast as possible, even if it means getting past a rocky ledge and running into a dry and arid desert. Jeff is not worried about the environment he's about to enter, likely because of the iconic fin on the top of his back. That same triangular shark-looking fin that has given him the nickname of Land Shark. Because of the fin's capability of thermoregulation, Jeff does not have to worry much about the heat of the desert. This ability for him to make a quick getaway is thanks to the fact that he is of the order Carcharodontosauridae. Carcharodontosaurids are built for open terrain and are made to pursue prey items. When pursuing prey items, it usually falls in line of simply chasing and attacking while chasing. This helps the animal weaken its prey as it moves away from it. Thanks to over 60 razor-sharp steak knives that Concavenator has for teeth, a rather common trait amongst the Carcharodontosauridae family. This includes the Tyranotitan, Carcharodontosaurus, Giganotosaurus, and Acrocanthosaurus. Now you may be wondering, my dear viewer, how is any of what I just said valid to what is going on with Jeff? And the answer is, due to the order of dinosaur that he belongs in. He is perfectly capable of fending for himself in the desert, as well as traversing across the desert, which is going to be very necessary, especially since night is about to show up. And when it happens, various dangerous beasts are bound to go on the prowl, despite the fact that he is perfectly adapted to chase down and dispatch prey as it flees. Jeff is in no mood for combat. He's only in the mood to find a new territory, and his nose tells him that something good is on the other side of this desert. But in order to move there, Jeff will need to move with a sense of urgency, unless he seeks to be the plaything of the resident predator around here. This predator in question does not have it in size, but more than makes up for in strategy. A dinosaur that is far superior in intelligence than Jeff is. And Jeff, despite being bigger than said predator, doesn't really want to fight it. As fate would have it, however, the weather has changed for Jeff's benefit. The resident predator will not come out when it rains, purely out of fear of what kind of dinosaurs might take advantage of the rain. And Jeff is one of them. A specialized nictitating membrane that goes over the eyes, like a pair of goggles, allows Jeff to see in the water. A unique type of adaptation that has helped the Concavenators here on this island sculpt out their niche in the heat of competition. And not very friendly competition, more like very, very fearsome competition. But Jeff seldom has to worry about it for now. Most of the animals will try to hunker down and wait. This relieves Jeff of the various dangers that would try to kill him. Because of this, he is able to find and get close to the good territory on the other side of the desert. A long and exhausting day has taken a toll on his judgment. He soon turns around and goes another way into this different territory, and is soon yet to explore this uncharted territory he so considers to live in. His journey across the island was long, arduous, exhausting, terrifying, and not to mention, filled with complete and utter uncertainty. But one thing's for certain now, he no longer has to endure it, and now is the time for him to explore promising lands, as well as look for food, because all this walking around and dodging dangers has made him very hungry. And what he currently hopes for is a food source to consume before the dead of night. And that window is rapidly closing by the minute. Buzz of insects has piqued Jeff's interest. But unfortunately, it leads him to dealing with carrion. He could try to eat the slab of rotting meat, but he prefers a little more fresh types of food, instead of this pile of disease and filth. The best thing that Jeff can do is explore more of the territory known as Ripple Beach. Odds are, just because one source of food is rotting or unsuitable to eat, doesn't mean that all sources of food are inedible. As Jeff explores more of the Ripple Beach, he can't help but notice how suitable it is for his kind. A lot of wide open spaces for him to spot prey, but also a lot of places that provide shelter during a bad storm. But of course, Ripple Beach is not called that because of irony. The gentle wave motion over time has pushed up hills of sand, but also trapped puddles of salt water between the hills of sand. As a consequence of this act of nature, various semi-aquatic animals tend to thrive in this region, especially since in some cases they can escape from predators via diving into the water, or vice versa when it comes to aquatic predators, via escaping to dry land. Unfortunately for those animals, that pleasure is relatively short-lived, especially with Jeff's arrival. But what could a Concavenator like Jeff want in terms of food? Carcharodontosaurids are known to shear meat from soft flesh of various prey items, so it would be safe to assume that he will have to look for some soft-bodied prey. This prey in question can still have some bones in it, but do not expect him to go after any crustaceans, for how tough they are for his teeth. They certainly are not too tough for his claws, but it would still be kind of tough for him to chew through crab, especially if it is crabs on this artificial ecosystem of Gondwas. While some of which are paranoid enough to flee, and relatively quickly, alpha crabs are no laughing matter for anything. In order for Jeff to get a better vantage point, just to see if there's any prey or alpha critters, Jeff is going to walk atop the big rock at the Ripple Beach, primarily as a means of getting a better vantage point. Birds of modern day usually perch on higher places as a means of getting a vantage point on both food and foe. So with that in mind, it is not entirely impossible for large theropod dinosaurs, like Jeff, to simply find a high vantage point to look for any potential meal or threats. His current reconnaissance dictates that there is no threats, and walking around, he has spotted something that might be suitable for his appetite, a Tanystropheus. He will need the element of surprise if he is to catch one of those reptiles for food. In the real world, Concavenator and Tanystropheus never met in real life. Concavenator has only been found in Spain, whereas the long-necked Triassic reptile, Tanystropheus, have been found in North America and China. But in this artificial ecosystem, a Tanystropheus can evidently prove itself to be a worthy meal for a weary land shark like Jeff. Throughout the entire journey, Jeff has done nothing but fast and try to avoid conflict as much as possible, with great success. But his hunger has driven him to break his fast. This hunt has proven itself successful, with a great reward that is a very hearty meal. He has decided to take the last of his meal to go, especially as he needs to find a spot to sleep in this new territory. His preferred idea of a spot to rest is an area where he is relatively hidden or isolated from most of the dangerous predators that prowl on this island. He will need to find this spot quickly, since he doesn't know what kind of new neighbors he might be running into. And frankly, he doesn't have the time to figure out which is going to attack him. His instincts tell him that the beach is no place to sleep. The rocky area next to the beach, however, seems to be a perfect spot for him to hide and sleep for the night. His current instinct leads him to this rocky ledge, a decent area where he could find a nice spot to rest, while he's mostly hidden from predators. His overall examination of the territory proves itself suitable for an animal like him. An open space, areas where he could set up an ambush, and if things get a bit too dicey, he could always retreat to the seas. If a leviathan from the seas tries to attack him from there, he could always bait the leviathans into crawling onto land where they're vulnerable. Overall, this territory has proven himself to be his new home, and he is not planning on budging anytime soon. But the question is, how will his neighbors react? Tune in next episode when we have to deal with a unique... There's really... Okay, are you seriously going to keep interrupting me? Doggone and rat with wings. Take care, live an amazing life, forget all your humanity, blah 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 blah.